I told him, I'm like, well, go tell the motherfucker if you want something, fucking, I'll come out there. We can get him up right now. So he was like, yeah. It was all right. I'll go tell him right now. So I'm watching this motherfucker. He still had weights in prison at that time. I was huge. And this dude was like a little itty bitty motherfucker, man. But he wanted to wrestle. So things got carried away like I knew they would. I end up picking him up, doing my signature move. We're still leadership. We're always gonna be leadership, and that's the way it is, man. So it was fucked up for a lot of youngsters that didn't know any better and just got caught up in that, man. All right, you guys, it's episode 53 of Inner Demons, and without further ado, you already know I'm gonna get straight back to it. So I just dropped episode 52. While I got my mojo going, I'm gonna jump straight back into another episode so I can get two of them out to you guys tonight, or at least one, and one will be set to go sometime tomorrow morning. We'll see how many Sandman can get done. Anyway, so just to recap where I was at. So I basically, in the last episode, I told you guys that, the limousine business is starting to come together. We got all our furniture in there. It's looking all nice and pretty. Bling Bling was the president. I was the vice president. We're doing everything that we need to do as far as trying to get that business up and on track. Again, I know I'm repeating myself, but, I was driving in the beginning until we got all that stuff figured out. So, everything's kind of coming together. Now, I still haven't met Julio yet. I'm still running around playing Bling Bling's games, doing all the things that he wants to do in order to keep him happy. So anyways, in between all this, there's things that are going on in the regiment that, I haven't mentioned. There was something that happened out there with Mikey Strider. I'll go into that in the next episode because it's a long story and it's something that happened with him and his cousin Chewy, but I'm going to get into that. But there's certain things that are happening out there like that, or different things like that that are happening. I don't want to say that this is the reason why we started to get heat on us, but for whatever reason, law enforcement at that point started to take an interest in our activities. I want to say that even though I didn't find out exactly how the investigation started, I still didn't find it out, even though I've already been through all that and I read all the paperwork. At some point, they started to investigate us. And I think it started with Pony and somebody else that he was dealing with. And then it just it bled over to the rest of the regiment. That's how it happened. But at any rate, this is what ended up happening. Now, this is a crazy story. I had to tell you guys this one tonight because it was just one that I wanted to get out because it's kind of funny, but it's interesting as well. And you guys will understand what I'm talking about in a minute. So Pony you guys know Pony was my second in command, but Pony was also my mechanic, or he was a mechanic, but he used to work on my cars every now and then when, something would happen with one of my cars. At that time, I had an El Camino and I think I had an Explorer. So he would come over whenever I needed something done. And he had I want to say it was what was it? One of them, he had a Bronco. I want to say it was a Bronco. But anyways, so he would come over with this Bronco and he had all his tools in the back of the Bronco. And, he'd pull up in my carport and he'd work on my cars right there all day, until he fixed whatever problem needed to be fixed. So I want to get into this one other part before I get into that. So there was some Crips that used to live in that apartment complex. At first, it was just one that moved in. And then after that, like they took three other apartments. So they ended up moving over there kind of deep, which was cool. There were some cool ass Crips. They were from Seven Trees. And I got to know all of them. And eventually I started working with them. But, at this point, I'm making a lot of money. The regiment's making a lot of money. I'm always walking around with fat wads of cash in my pocket, and I'm always trying to help people. I was always doing things out there on the streets to help people. The part that I got to, I know I just cut off with Pony, but, I'm going to get back on that in a minute. I just want to tell you guys that, he used to do mechanical work, and it'll make sense in a minute. So anyways, on this one day when I was coming out of my apartment, I came out and I seen those Crips. They used to always sit in the carport in a Honda, and there'd be like two or three of them in there. and they'd be just sitting there listening to music, right? So I had already started talking to him. You know, I would see him in passing. I didn't start working with him yet, but after this would start, this would kind of kick our relationship in the old, you know, into, you know, would put us on the fast track to start working together. But, you know, I came down the stairs and I seen them sitting in their Honda, and they were listening to music, but the system that they had in this Honda was garbage. It was bootsy. So I started to walk by. I don't remember where I was going that day, but I stopped. I turned around and I knocked on the window. I'm like, hey, check it out. So they rolled down the window and they're like, what's up, man? I'm like, check it out. I was like, what are you guys doing right now? So, but first I looked at their system. I looked over at their system. I want to say it was like a Kenwood or something. And I was like, man, I just said to myself, damn, you know, I'm gonna do something for these cats right here. So I was like, man, what you guys doing right now besides sitting here listening to this music on this bootsy ass radio? And they're like, man, nothing. Why? And I'm like, check it out. Follow me real quick. So they were like, all right. So I jumped in my El Camino and we smashed out to Milpitas. It was a car stereo place out in Milpitas that they had worked on one of my cars before. So, you know, I knew that they did quality work and that they could do what I was trying to get them to do to this guy's car. I basically wanted them to flip the whole car, put, you know, a box in the trunk, customize. I wanted to put drop down TVs in there for them. The, you know, the TV screen in the dash. I wanted to hook them up. I even put TV screens in the back of the visors and two in the back, like in the back seat on the back, the headboard in the back there, just so there's no purpose for them other than for people to see those two video screens through your back window. Nobody could even watch them. It's just high siding. So anyways, we go over there to Milpitas and we pull up and they still don't know what's going on. And I tell the guy that I dealt with before, one of the techs, I was like, hey, check it out, man. Look, are you guys busy today? And they were like, nah, we got a little something, but we can do, you know, we got time to do whatever you want us to do. So I'm like, man, check it out. I want to hook these cats up. I want you to throw one of your top of the line systems in there. I got like six grand. I told them on the side, look, I got about 6 G's that I'm willing to spend on this, 6 bands, right? But I want you to throw in a custom box. I want you to throw in a nice system, put drop down TVs, put TVs in the visors, give them a, you know, a rear view mirror with the TV screen, do all the shit. You know what I mean? At that time, you know, reverse cameras were just barely coming out. Nobody really had them. I had a reverse camera in my car. And like I said, they were just barely coming out. But when I got busted, the cops that wrote up the reports actually said that I had the reverse cameras put in my cars for counter surveillance. That's crazy. But they really believed that that's why I had them in there. And I didn't know nothing about them. Honestly, when I had went to have them put a system in my car, they were like, hey, we got this new camera that we can throw in there. And basically you can see what's behind your car so you don't back up and hit something. That's the whole reason why I put it in there. But nobody had them at that time in 2004, or they were just barely starting to come out. So when I got busted, like I said, they actually said that I had those cameras installed in my vehicles for the purpose of counter surveillance. Even the limousine had one. We had one put in there. So because we took the limousine to that same business and had them hook it up, we put like 20 or 30 speakers in that limo. That thing had a system that was crazy. The system inside of that limo was the type of system, if you turned it up, you could feel the hairs in your nose tickling. You know what I mean? Seriously, it had a nice system in there. We spent about 12 grand. So we had a fog machine in there that, you know, you could turn it on and the fog would be on the floor. It would be kind of like just hovering over the floor. Then we had mood lights that lit up the whole top of the limo. It was bad. That limo was hooked up. I told you guys, I even started driving that limo for like a personal car. I started taking my girl to the grocery store and taking her grocery shopping. She'd be sitting in the back by herself. And we go grocery shopping. And here I am driving a 12 passenger stretch limo to Walmart to do grocery shopping. I was doing too much. Anyway, so I have them hook these guys' car up and they decked it out, man. They put a system in there that was crazy. It wasn't the kind of system that slapped like the limo that I have the hair on the back of your neck standing straight up, but it was a far cry from what they had in there, that little Bootsy Kenwood. So it was crazy, man. When I had all that put in, they were like, man, for real, bro, damn, homie, you know what I'm saying? I ain't got that kind of money to pay you back. I was like, don't trip, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna put you on. I'm gonna get at you guys about something else later, and maybe it'll help you kick me a little bit back over time. So I started working with them later, but I had just did that as just love. You know what I mean? I felt bad for these dudes. They want to sit there and they wanted to listen to their rap, or they want to sit there and listen to their music. I wanted to make sure that they had some a nice system, if that's what they were really gonna do. And after that, man, I would come down. Now I would come down to the carport and they'd be sitting in there 4 deep watching TV. That whole car would be hot boxed. They'd be in there smoking weed all day in that car, bumping. Anyways, that was just one thing that I did out there. And like I said, the only reason I'm even telling you guys that is because that just kind of like, it opened the door for, a relationship that I would have with those guys, working with them later. And, in the beginning, it started out positive. I think I told some of you guys what happened one time in one of my war stories about something that would happen later, but I'll get into that part of it later when it comes up. Anyways, aside from that, so let's get back to Pony and his mechanical skills. So, like I said, he would come to the house and he would work on, my cars if they needed work done on them, or if I was gonna put new tires on, or whatever I was doing, he would bring his tools over and he'd work on them. So, anyways, the other thing about Pony is that he was never punctual. When it came time to paying or picking up the money that he would get from the regimental members, collecting all that money off the streets so that I could get that money and give it to the connection so that we could re-up, Pony was always slow and he'd always be late. He was never punctual. In the morning or the day that, he was set to bring the money over, I always used to tell him, bro, you need to have that money over here by 10 o'clock. And I don't want to keep calling you. I used to have to find the dude in order for him to be punctual and start coming over when he was supposed to. Otherwise, the connection started getting all irritated. I felt like it started to make me look bad. So, my point is on this one particular day, I was supposed to have about, I want to say it was like 20 bands that were supposed to go back to the connection, supposed to go to Julio. And, I was waiting for the money to come in so that I could give it to him and then we could get another package. Well, I've been calling Pony all morning and he wasn't answering. And it was highly uncharacteristic for him to do that, because there were times when he'd lag and he'd bullshit, but he always used to answer his phone. So I started to trip out like, man, this fool get busted or what's he doing? So anyways, he was supposed to drop the money off somewhere like around 9 o'clock in the morning. It ended up being around 2 o'clock before he finally picked the phone up. I had been blowing up his phone all morning. Finally, he picked the phone up and I'm like, bro, I laid into him like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? I've been trying to get a hold of you all morning. You know damn well this dude's waiting for his money. I mean, I used to be on that dude so bad. I used to be grilling him in my living room. And I'm not saying this because, to tell you guys that I used to feel good or I get a rise out of bending somebody's ear like that. But I used to really be on him so bad that he'd be crying in my living room, actual tears. That's what I brought him to tears a few times. My lady at that time, she'd be in the bedroom, but she could hear. And like later when he would leave, she'd come out, she'd be like, come on, man, that's fucked up. That dude loves you. Why you do him like that? You know what I mean? I heard him in there crying. She used to always speak up for him. But, it was a lot of it was because of what he was doing or what he wasn't doing. It was because he was never punctual. He was always late when it came time to dropping that money off. Anyway, So this day I'm telling you guys about in particular, it was around 2 o'clock and he finally answered the phone. So after I lay into him, I'm telling him, bro, man, you need to get over here right now. And he tells me, he's like, B, man, the reason why I haven't answered my phone is because I found a bomb under my car. And when he told me that, it made me matter because I was thinking that, this dude is gonna go to these extremes to tell a lie to him. Now he's insulting my intelligence. And I'm like, Pony, for real? You're really gonna go that far, bro, and tell me that you found a bomb under your car and you think I'm supposed to believe some shit like that? And he's like, B, I'm telling you straight up, I found a bomb under my car. He told me how he found it. And he said that, that morning when he woke up, something told him to he wanted to clean out the back of his Bronco. So he started taking all the tools out, all the garbage, the McDonald wrappers, the empty cups, straws, burnt stale French fries, and all that other stuff that used to always be all over his floorboards. And he said that when he went to pick up a screwdriver, it fell, and then when he grabbed it, it magnetized to the floorboard. It stuck. So he was like, what the fuck? So it made him look up under the car. So he crawled up under there and looked. And when he got up under there, there was a black box. So the black box, it basically was about the size of this phone, but it had like 8 batteries on the bottom of it, 8 lithium batteries, high grade batteries. It had a little transistor wire that was sticking out of it. And then it had another wire that ran to another box that was small. It was like a little square box. It was like half the size, not even half the size, like just a little small square. And it had 4 magnets on it. So when he comes over to my apartment and he's telling me this and he shows it to me, I look at it and I'm like, bro, come on, Pony, man. What fucking toolbox you pull this out of, bro? You're really gonna expect me to believe this, bro? And he's like, B, I'm telling you, man. So, at that point, I'm starting to think that the dude's telling me the truth, but I don't believe it's a bomb. So I don't know what it was. At that point, I had never seen a GPS tracking device. It didn't even cross my mind at that point yet. So, something just told me to go over to my El Camino that I had parked in the carport and just check it. So that's what I did. I walked over there. I felt, and I still had the other one in my hand. I felt up under the front bumper and I didn't feel nothing. Then I went to the back and I reached up under there and I started feeling around and I felt something that was around the same size. I pulled on it and it came loose. And when I looked at it, what I had pulled off, it was another one, exactly like the one I was holding in my other hand, the one that Pony gave me. That's when it clicked, bro, their GPS tracking devices. At that point, my dumb ass at that point thought, I didn't know if they could hear me. I put them on the ground and I'm like, hey, come here. So we walked over to the side and I told them, bro, their GPS tracking devices, it's all bad. It's probably the feds because, locals don't do that. Or at least I didn't think that they did that. So I thought it was the feds. And I thought it was related to Operation Black Widow. Now, at that point, I had told him like this. I said, look, Pony, look, bro. Here's your one chance. Here's your one chance right now to walk away. I'm going to give you an opportunity right now, bro, to walk away. And you need to listen to what I'm about to tell you. If I was you, I'd walk away, bro. And, don't think that I'm going to look at you any different. If anything, I think it's smart if you walk away right now while I'm giving you that opportunity. I said, this right here, it's a major setback and we're eventually on we're on borrowed time. We're eventually going to get busted. I can't do nothing. I can't go nowhere. I'm obligated. This is a lifetime commitment for me. You're a hermano. You have choices, and I'm giving you an opportunity right now to walk away. Go be a father to your kids. Go be a fucking husband to your girl, Sarah, bro. That's what I told him, and I was sincere. I was really trying to give him an opportunity to get out But I told him, I'm like, bro, this is your only opportunity to go. I'm not going to give you an opportunity later. I'm telling you right now to take it. And if I was you, I would take it. So don't think I'm going to look at you any different, that you're a punk or that you're tapping out or you're a coward. Nah, bro. You know, you have an opportunity to get out. I don't. So, you know, Pony wanting to be the gangster that he wanted to be, and Pony wasn't no gangster. Pony never done no, you know, really done no shoot time. Pony had never really been involved in politics in prison. He barely, I mean, he's the type of dude that goes to like places like Solano or, you know, camp or some, you know, H unit, somewhere like that, and gets out, or level 1 or a level 2 yard, barely gets in trouble. So, you know, I gave him that opportunity, and I told him, bro, before you say anything, think about it, homie. I'm telling you, think about what I'm telling you, because this is only one chance. It's a one chance thing, bro. So he was like, you know what, B? It was like, man, you gave me an opportunity. You know, since I've been working with you, man, you're my, you know, you became my boy. He was like, I can't see myself turning my back on you, bro. You know, I understand that we're probably going to end up getting took down in the future. You know, hopefully we can do something maybe to minimize it, or, you know, to prevent it. But I'm not gonna do that to you, man. I'm not gonna leave you by yourself like that. He's like, you know, I'm gonna roll with you, homie. So I told him, all right, bro. You know, if that's the choice you're making, then that's the choice you're gonna live with, bro. So I told him, I'm like, you know what? Take that GPS tracking device right there and go put it on that car over there. It was one of my neighbor's cars, and I told him, I'm gonna take this one and I'm gonna put it on this car right here. Because I told him, put it on the car, bro. Put it on one of these cars. Don't fuck with it. Don't take it apart, because you're gonna break the signal. They're gonna know. You know, at least I knew that much, where I assumed that that was the case. So that's what he did. He put his on one of the other cars, my neighbor's cars, and I put mine on one of my neighbor's cars. And, you know, from that point on, we just we knew that they were in the shadows. We knew that they were watching, but we continued to do what we were doing. Now, the only other thing that happened was, so at that point, you know, at that point, I was in touch with Baby Joker, and you know, I wanted to let him know, because we had been working with other regiments, but I wanted to let him know what we found, because that's the whole purpose of why regiments don't usually work together. Because if one regiment ends up, you know, getting scrutinized by law enforcement, or they end up getting some heat, and, you know, an investigation starts on one regiment, it's going to bleed over to the other one. And I wanted to make sure that I let Joker know that, hey, bro, look, we found these GPS tracking devices. We've been dealing with you guys. So I don't know if, you know, this has led over to you guys. You know, I don't know if they're watching you guys as a result from dealing with us. So I wanted to give him a heads up. But I didn't want to put it over the phone. I called him and I'm like, hey, homie, I got to relay something to you, bro, with some hot information. I need you to shoot over here ASAP. And he was like, bro, I was just about to call you because I got something I need to let you know ASAP. He goes, man, he goes, bro, what I'm about to tell you is crazy. It's gonna blow your mind. I'm like, nah, bro, what I'm about to tell you is gonna blow your mind. So I didn't know, but we were both fucking talking about the same thing. So he comes over with his second in command. I want to say it was either Tigre or Danger, one of those two. I don't remember who it was, but it was one of those two. He comes over and we go to my back porch. I had a little deck in the back. We go back there, and as soon as we sit down, I start, you know, telling him what happened, what we found, exactly how it happened. And I'm watching him as I'm telling him, he starts to get this crazy look on his face, man. And then he's like, he stops me. He's like, bro, that's what I was about to fucking tell you. He's like, we found GPS tracking devices on our cars too. That's a blessing, man. It was crazy. I don't remember the details of how they found theirs, but they found them. You know, I don't know if maybe they always looked up under their cars. It was something that they always did. They checked and they ended up finding them like that. But either way, here's two regiments. two regimental commanders that find GPS tracking devices under our cars. You know, that should have came as a blessing in disguise. Two regimental commanders and their second in commands end up finding GPS tracking devices on their cars, on their vehicles. At that point, my whole objective was to let leadership know what happened, that basically we got an investigation. We're being watched, we're being scrutinized. Law enforcement is watching us for whatever reason. I had Pony take some Polaroid pictures of them, and I told him this week when our visitor goes up there, have her take those in there and show them to him. So again, I told you guys some of this, and I think it was my Q&A, and I think I told some of you guys, or I told you guys in one of my profiles, that at that point I was expecting to be told, you know, shut it down. Shut it down. Everybody needs to just stop doing what you're doing and pick up a lunch bill, go to work, legitimize, whatever. Stop the criminal activity, because, you know, there's obviously an imminent threat of us getting busted. Law enforcement was watching us. That was clear. However, I send a visitor in there. I break everything down. You know, I send her in there with, you know, a report and let them know exactly how it happened. And I'm expecting them to tell me, you know, the obvious, like, shut it down. You know, you guys need to just kick back until things cool down. But that's not what happened. Instead, she comes out with their directives, and it's basically tighten it up. But at the end of the day, their message was keep the money coming. That's what they said in a nutshell. I want to say that that was probably the first time, or one of the times out there, that I got discouraged. I was like, these dudes don't give a fuck about us, man. And I always kind of knew that over the years, you know, things become obvious. I know we're all, you know, all of us are expendable. You know what I mean? Especially if there's money involved. They're going to take money over somebody on any day of the week, twice on Sunday. That's just the way that it is. So I get this directive and I'm like, man, you know, I sat down with Pony and I'm like, bro, this is crazy right here, man. But there's nothing I can do. You know, there's nothing I can do. I don't comment on it. I don't say nothing in our you know, the next time we send a visitor up there, I don't say nothing about it. I'm just like, hey, look, we're doing everything that we should be doing. And, you know, I've taken some measures to kind of like some counter surveillance measures. It wasn't no backup camera, but it was some things that, you know, that I was doing as far as trying to watch law enforcement to see if we were, you know, we had tails on us, to see if people were coming in the neighborhood, seeing that people were doubling back, things like that. So, you know, at that point, like I said, man, I don't know if it would have even made a difference if we would have shut everything down. I don't know. Who knows? But they didn't want us to shut it down. They wanted us to keep working. So that's what we did. We continued to work. And, you know, eventually, from that point on, I knew that I always knew, obviously, that working on the streets, the end game was gonna be me getting caught up at some point. I just always had hoped that it would be later than sooner. So I already knew that. But this right here, you know, it basically told me that we were on the fast track. And like I said, it was discouraging to, you know, to get that message from leadership. So, you know, there was nothing that I could do, but the little bit of counter surveillance that I could, you know, that I implemented out there to the manpower. I always had everybody looking under their vehicles from that point on, and things like that. And so from that point on, you know, after I get that directive or that message or that filter, you know, there's nothing that I can do. I, you know, took some precautions, the little bit of precautions that I could take. I implemented some safety measures, and, you know, business continued on. We continued to, you know, work on the limousine business. I continued to try to get at Julio, which is going to be basically the next episode will be about, finally touching base with Julio. Because at this point, it'd been about a good 3 months since, well, I'm not going to say that long. It's probably been about 2 months since I was running around with Bling Bling. Julio was still in the cuts, but he was starting to be a little bit more involved. Like I said, he was a silent partner with the limousine business. And at this point, he was giving us a lot of dope on consignment. So, he started to want to come around, and eventually he would. But even though this is going to be a short episode right here, I want to end it right here, because the next episode is pretty much going to be about once I finally get to meet Julio and I start working with him and kind of like push Jose to the side. There'll be no more Grand Prix or miniature golf or video games. From that point on, it's just about, working in the business with them at the limousine company. And I told you guys we had aspirations to open up a rim shop. That's something else that he actually ended up doing that later on after, everything happened. He did his time, or he got his probation or whatever. I heard that he finally went out there and opened up a rim shop and was doing it. So I want to say it was called California Rims. But anyways, I think this is a good place to end this one. Again, I know it's a short one. I just wanted to get that out there about the GPS tracking devices. That's a crazy story. Who finds GPS tracking devices under their cars, especially regiments, street criminal regiments that are out there working on the streets, in organized crime? Who finds GPS tracking devices under their cars the way we did? I don't think it's ever happened in the history anywhere, but it's something that happened. And again, instead of it being a blessing in disguise, all it just led to a, discouragement and disbelief. I couldn't believe it, but again, it only confirmed in my mind that we were expendable. So it shouldn't really have been a surprise, that big of a surprise to me anyway. All right, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut this one. I just wanted to get this out right here, this part of the, the GPS tracking devices, because this is a part of the story that I think, everybody, when they hear about it, it's just a crazy story. And again, I don't think it's ever happened in the course of history that you've had multiple regimental commanders find GPS tracking devices under their cars. Again, I know this is a short one, but I wanted to get this one out to you guys. The next one will be a banger. This is when I finally end up meeting Don Julio, and he starts keeping a lot of dope, a lot of product at one of my apartments. Anyways, this your boy B. This episode 53, and I'm out.